situation and the response, and then I'll take some questions. With me here today is Ryan Caholen, the MBTA's Chief Operating Officer. Ryan was instrumental in the response to the incident, and he has been instrumental in helping us rebuild the T to improve service as we continue to move forward. So this morning at approximately 6:50 a.m., the substation at North Station lost power. After that occurred, that was the AC power that powers our signals, power our station lighting, and it affected as I said, the green line, orange line, and blue lines. The power, as a result, affected our signals, and because of that, trains were held immediately following that loss of power for approximately 15 minutes to 30 minutes. That's for safety to ensure, until we had awareness of the trains and the locations, that we do not put any of our riders or our employees at harm's way. What we did immediately following that, aside from sending emergency power folks to North Station substation, was to have all of our crews go out to different areas where the trains were being held, and we took manual control of train operations. And that means by placing hundreds of workers across our system in the affected areas, we're able to move trains manually. And obviously that is a more, it's a safe way to be able to move the trains, but it also is one that did result in some delays to how the trains and the headways between the trains. That's why people experience longer waits for their trains this morning. As a result of the investigation with the crews at the substation, we did identify that the cause of this morning's incident was one of 7 main feeder cables to that substation. That one main feed, however, because of that one feeder cable that failed, it affected the other 6 feeder cables. And as a safe fail operation, to ensure that there's nothing more significant happening, all of the circuit breakers tripped to ensure safety. And that's why we had impacts across the 3 different lines. As part of the investigation, we also did identify that the failure occurred outside of the MBTA's internal infrastructure. Right now, the crews are investigating what possibly could have caused the failure on the feeder cable. That still remains to be seen, and we'll have more information on that when it is available. As far as the response, I mentioned how we were able to get service moving. That's important from a perspective that we are still trying to provide service, knowing that people do rely on us. And at the same time, we were investigating how to restore power safely. Since it was one of 7 feeder cables, the team had to isolate which cable was the cause, and then before restoring power, systematically restore power in a safe manner so as not to create any additional surges or impacts by restoring power too quickly. That's why the incident, from the beginning of the incident to the end, took approximately 2 hours. And that is something that I'm really proud of the team in terms of being able to provide the limited service we did, given the impacts that this one feeder cable caused. I'm proud of the team that we were able to ensure that there were no incidents with regards to any riders or our employees. And now that we are running service again, we're going to continue to investigate the cause of that feeder cable failure. The other thing I would like to say to the public is, again, knowing the impacts that we caused to their travels today, we will be opening our fare gates on the subways this afternoon from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. as a gesture to acknowledge that we do care about their travels. We do appreciate that they're riding the T, and our riders are paramount to us. I think with that, those are the main points. Hold on a moment. I'll open it up to questions now if there are any. You know, the public confidence is something where we're going to have to continue to demonstrate every day of how we are going to deliver service. This incident that occurred this morning was outside of our infrastructure. We're looking to identify where that cause was, but at the same time, I understand regardless of the cause, it impacts our riders. What we're doing is to continue to rebuild our infrastructure that's in our control. This morning, on time as we promised, Red Line was restored back to normal service from Alewife to Harvard. And while that gets overshadowed, the amount of work that occurred over these past 10 days, we've eliminated all those speed restrictions from Alewife to Harvard. Those trains are operating at line speed. We are systematically rebuilding all of the infrastructure that we can with the resources that we have as efficiently and as expeditiously as we can. It's been years of disinvestment. This incident, unfortunately, outside of our infrastructure, we're going to look to identify it. We don't know what was it. The feeder cable itself, just to give you an understanding, is, my understanding, 7 miles long. So it could have happened anywhere across that point. It could be an outside entity. We don't know yet.
So you don't know who sort of owns the space where this happened?
We don't know the cause of the feeder cable. We know it's outside the substation, beyond the circuit breaker we control.
Or Eversource, or who's the feeder?
Do you know the source of the power? National Grid provides the power.
The mayor said that she totally understands stuff happens and the need for reinvestment, but she questioned the communication piece. She thought it was maybe an hour or so that people were left waiting for usable information about what they should do. Do you think the communication piece will be something or no?
I know from day one we've been working hard to improve communication. Every incident that we have, we'll go back and review where we could have done better, where we could have provided more timely information. I am focused on real-time information because I do know if you have that, you can make informed decisions. You can decide on which routes to take, and it's much better to know in advance how long an incident will be in duration to make you a more informed rider. We're going to always keep working on it, even as we improve our system. I know communications is paramount because that's how you win trust back too.
Do you think it worked this morning, or no? You think it continued to be troublesome?
I haven't had a chance to dive into the communication chain, and that's why I'm here today, to let our riders know how important they are to us. Their safety is paramount, and giving them the reliable, safe, and more robust service is what we're working towards every step of the way.
Secretary, you talk about years of underinvestment. What do we need to fix this year? The governor is talking about more resources in terms of funding, but obviously that's not guaranteed yet. What do you need?
Well, you know, I've always said this, regardless of the amount of resources that we're provided, I'm accountable and my team is accountable to making sure we use those dollars in the best manner, the most efficient manner, most cost-effective manner, and delivering results. I think some of the things that we've tried to do over the course of the last year is to show that. We're tackling speed restrictions in a different way. We want to do them proactively. No longer are we going to allow us to just sit back and put speed restrictions on our system. We're going to tackle them, we're going to eliminate them, and then when they do occur again, we want to tackle them quickly. We also want the public to know, as we set aside how we deliver the capital program moving forward, on time, on budget is going to be a key priority of mine. Time is money, and we're very focused on knowing that how we deliver is going to be important to when we ask for more dollars.
So Bill, do you have any impacts from this morning's incident, feeder cable damage, or is this kind of just a one-off?
We don't know the actual cause of the failure. We just know it was outside of the substation.
Any frustration? Any frustration sitting on the train yourself this way, trying to get in, waiting for a disabled train like a lot of passengers?
You know, part of the reason I ride the system, first and foremost, I still think it's the best way to get around, but is to be able to experience the same things that the riders are experiencing. While we were waiting, I had a chance to talk with many of the riders on there. There were announcements being made on the train, so we were aware that there was a situation. It's part of riding the T, but we're going to make those situations fewer and further apart because reliability, safety, and communication is going to be part of us moving forward.
This is a really scary morning for a lot of people, not necessarily, because of what happened, but because they were down in underground stations
Well, when the power went out, it was the AC power. That affected the lighting in the system. That affected our signage and the signals, as I mentioned. We do have emergency power lights that turn on in most of the stations. Some of them were dimmer than we wanted. In such case, I believe Haymarket, because we didn't think it was bright enough, we bypassed it. We want to make sure that the riders are safe when they're entering and exiting our trains. We're going to always keep looking at the infrastructure that we have, the legacy that we've inherited, and then as we continue to develop a capital program, how do we rebuild it in a way that not only gives the riders what they deserve and expect, the world-class system, but gives us the ability to respond in a different way, more timely. I will say, given the magnitude of today's incident, a 2-hour response time to make sure that we did it safe I'm really proud of the effort of the team.
There's also been some talk about congestion pricing, getting people off the roads. In a situation like this, how do you win trust back for people in Boston that want to be taking the T on a daily basis?
I'm going to just keep working hard to rebuild our infrastructure and give the people making the T a preferred option. Reliability, as I said, safety is paramount, and everything that we've been doing in the year I've been here and planning to go forward is about just doing that, making it the preferred choice. What I'm saying is that this incident that occurred today outside of our substation, the 7-mile length of the feeder cable, many different causes could have happened, regardless of our ability to maintain our system. We don't know the actual cause of that, so I think it would be unfair for me to speculate on what caused it. Those types of things happen, and I don't know what kind of activities were happening across all of the areas above our feeder cable. The evening commute, right now our trains are running back on schedule. Once we restored power across all of our lines, the green line was restored back at 9 a.m. Blue and orange were restored 10 minutes after that. We saw immediately the headways go back pretty close to normal, and right now we're running back where we should be. Riders should expect that this afternoon's travel should be the way we had anticipated this morning's to go. We fully anticipate that it'll be a smoother ride.
So free fares across all lines from 3 to 7?
We're opening the gates across all of our subway lines, yes, the red, blue, orange, green, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
The 7-line shutdowns, that was part of your system's response to the other line going down, right? That was your system shutting it down.
I'm sorry?
The 7 lines shutting down, that was like a circuit breaker within your system, right? In response to the
There's 7 feeder cables that feed power into the substation. They come from external power sources. One of those 7 was the fault, but that fault was significant enough that the circuit breakers and the fail-safe system, to ensure nothing bigger happens, tripped all of the circuit breakers.
That's your circuit.
Our circuit breakers, but the feeder cable is outside of the circuit breakers.
Is that something that the MBTA is starting against happening in the future?
Well, until I find out the cause, again, we believe this is external to us. I can't say that, there's always work going on across the system, and anything that could have impacted that feeder cable along those 7 miles might have been the cause. My understanding is that cable is approximately 30 years old. There has been work done on certain sections of it, but it's about 30-year-old cable. It's not as old as our subway system, but it's we're going to continue working on our infrastructure, and there's a lot of challenges ahead. But I assure the riders that we are focused on different components and how do we give them back the service they deserve. No, they were the power source. owns the cable. We own the cable. Yes. It's exterior. It's outside of the substation. It's exposed to, any activity that's happening across the system. No, it's not a national. It's an MBTA cable.
You said outside of your infrastructure, then what?
Outside of the substation, outside of the circuit. Right.
Okay, so outside. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.